If you want talk, games, and fun all rolled into one, well, you've come to the right place. This is The Game Show, where host Bradley Clarke and his special guests talk about the world of television game and competition shows. But Bradley's guests aren't here to just talk. They came to play a game as well. What will today's topic be? What game does Bradley have planned? There's only one way to find out.
It's time to start the show.
You heard the man. Welcome to The Game Show. And here's your host, the Bradster himself, Bradley Clarke.
Are you ready for another episode of The Game Show? Well, I certainly am. Thank you so much, Austin Angelo, and welcome everybody to another exciting episode of The Game Show, the talk show all about the world of television game and competition shows. I'm Bradley Clarke, and I want you to close your eyes and imagine this scenario. What if I were to tell you that right here, right now, you were in a supermarket, and for about the next 2 minutes or so, you could run around and grab as many products off the shelves as you possibly can. Not only that, but the total amount of all the groceries you put into your shopping carts will be given to you in cash. Now, doesn't that sound like fun? Well, it sure sounds fun to me. All right, keep your eyes closed and imagine this scenario. What if I also told you that you could run around the same supermarket for another minute and search for a product which contains $5,000 in cash behind it? Now, you have to admit, even if you're not a fan of running, I'm sure you wouldn't mind moving those feet a little faster if it meant you receiving $5,000. All right, open your eyes. I'm sorry to say that you are most likely not in a supermarket right now, and I don't have $5,000 to offer you. However, if you were on a certain game show, the images I just gave to you could have easily come true.
Welcome to the first supermarket in the world that gives you money, $5,000. And we give it away time and time again. Since $5,000 is serious money, you have to do some serious shopping to earn that $5,000. The whole idea is to shop faster and smarter than the next person. Go ahead, grab everything you can get your hands on. Then fill up your cart as high as you can. Sure, it may look like hard work, but you know what? It's a lot of fun, too. When you win the $5,000, sometimes you get carried away, and sometimes you'll even be moved to tears. So get ready, because you never know what's going to happen on Supermarket Sweep. Are you ready to go shopping? Who's got the equal sweetener? Okay, you're on. Who's got the Lindsay Olive? Okay, you're on. Who's got the York Peppermint Patty? Okay, and you're on. We're ready to play Supermarket Sweep. And here is our host, David Ruprecht.
Howdy. Oh, thank you. Hi there. Hello and welcome to Supermarket Sweep. Now, as you know, one of these teams may be going home with $5,000.
Yes, it's Supermarket Sweep, the game show where three teams go shopping cart to shopping cart to shopping cart to take home some dough, or bread, or cabbage, or chips, or bacon, and I'm not talking about the food items in this case. You can say the 1990s were a troubling time for game shows as there weren't that many around when you compare the decade to the previous two. However, thankfully, one program us game show fans could always count on to give us our daily fix of fun from the early to mid-90s was Supermarket Sweep. The more famous version of the show was originally on from 1990 to 1995 and was brought back at the beginning of the next decade for 3 more years of savvy shopping from 2000 to 2003. Now, from the clip I just played you a moment ago, you can probably guess who my special guest today is going to be. And no, it's not the team who had the York Peppermint Patties. It's none other than the host of Supermarket Sweep that Johnny Gilbert introduces. I am so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to use such bad language like that. But I'm just so pumped. Oh no, I did it again. You know what? Let me just introduce him before I get fined by the FCC. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome onto the game show the host of Supermarket Sweep and the king of all sweaters, David Ruprecht. David, thank you so much for joining me on the game show.
It's my pleasure to be here, Bradley.
This is such a thrill for me. I still remember the first time I watched an episode of Supermarket Sweep. I was in the 6th grade, And this was the time when I basically was learning the history of game shows through YouTube, because every Friday night after coming home from school, I would sit at my computer for hours and watch any game show that I could that I probably didn't even know existed at the time. And one time, the video for an episode of Supermarket Sweep came up. And I remember my mom mentioning the show a couple times, probably because I was in a supermarket and I was running down an aisle with a shopping cart. So that's how it came up. But I'd never seen it in an episode. And so once I watched The Big Sweep, I was hooked. And my 7th grade math teacher one time, because she used to watch the show growing up, and she one time mentioned to me, have you ever seen Supermarket Sweep? And I said, of course I've seen Supermarket Sweep. I think she was so shocked to find out that a 7th grader knew what Supermarket Sweep was at the time. And of course, me being me, I then gave her a history lesson about Supermarket Sweep. And so that's my Supermarket Sweep story. So I can't wait to hear the many stories that you have to share with me today.
I would love to hear your history lesson about the show.
I probably told her about the different changes the show made over the years, from the various bonuses during the Big Sweep and the different games played throughout the main game.
Yeah, because in the first couple of years, it was quite a bit different than what it morphed into Lifetime. They wanted to hip it up a bit, so they got rid of the Bill Cosby sweaters and the goofy guy in the costumes running around the market and made it a little bit more, quote-unquote, normal. And that's how it stayed for the next 10 years.
And we're going to explore all of those great Supermarket Sweep years through our conversation. And then later on, David, I have created an original Supermarket Sweep theme game just for you to play.
Oh, goody.
So are you ready to go shopping down memory lane?
Yes, sir.
Well, in the words of both Johnny Gilbert and Randy West, you're on. So a first question I'd like to ask many of my guests is, were you a big fan of game shows growing up?
I was a fan of game shows, but when I was growing up, you had to be homesick from school because they were only on during the daytime. I mean, I go back to Queen for a Day, and I think Price is Right was already on. Anyway, since I wasn't sick very much as a kid, I didn't get to see as many as I would have liked. I mean, I wish they'd had Wheels and Jeopardies at 5 and 6 o'clock. But I always dreamed of being on television. I didn't know what it was going to be. Game shows, sitcoms, whatever. But that was always my dream. And then I started acting in TV for years. And later on is when this wonderful event dropped into my lap.
I think that's the first ever mentioning of Queen for a Day on the game show. Would you like to be Queen for a day?
Well, it was a sign of the times.
Would you like to be queen for a day?
Supermarket Sweep, it was actually on before your version. It began in the 60s.
Of course, it was on in the 60s. Quite a bit different because in those days, they actually used supermarkets. So also in those days, supermarkets were closed on the weekend, which is an odd concept nowadays with them open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the producer would take his camera crew up and down the eastern seaboard. I can't remember the grocery chain he used, but Saturday they'd shoot 5 shows. And in those days, all the cameras they had were those big, heavy things on big rolling tripods with cables about 3 inches in diameter. So they had to have one guy pushing the camera and focusing it, and another guy handling the cable and lifting it if a grocery shopper wanted to come running through. And in those days, they couldn't use product names, so it all had to be generic. So in the guessing games, they had stuff like these 3 heads of lettuce more expensive than this pound of ground beef. You know, they couldn't use Crest and Tide and Ajax and all that.
Here is 4 pounds of beef shin meat, sold by the pound. 4 pounds of beef shin meat. Please check out what you think is the exact retail price. All right, Fran, we're all set now. What did you check it out at?
$1.69.
$1.69. Renata?
$2.85.
$2.85. And Peggy?
$2.55.
$2.55. The automatic counter with the exact retail price shows it to be $2.20. And it's on the end this time. Peggy, you are the closest. You take up 15 seconds in time. Of course, each item worth 15 seconds. The next item to throw into that soup, we have 2 pounds, or rather 2 one-pound packages, which is 2 pounds. The contents of 2 one-pound packages of carrots and 2 bunches of Pascal celery, sold by the individual bunch. Please check out on your machines what you think is the exact retail price. These machines have been engineered for us and supplied to us by the National Cash Register Company. Okay, Fran, what'd you say this time?
92 cents.
92 cents. Renata?
98 cents.
98 cents. Peggy?
89 cents.
89 cents. The automatic counter with the exact retail price which is 75 cents, and Peggy, you're the closest again. You pick up another 15 seconds in time, and you have your total now up to 2 minutes of time.
The supermarket chain was Food Fair. Brad fact.
Food Fair, that sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, the original one, it ran on ABC from December 20th, 1965 to July 14th, 1967. Do you remember the host's name?
No, do you?
Bill Malone. Brad fact.
Bill Malone, that's right.
From Wallingford, Connecticut, and from this Food Fair store, a part of the fastest-growing food chain that features quality foods at low prices, it's time for Supermarket Sweep, the TV game show that travels to your hometown and lets you run wild through your supermarket. And now, here he is, your master of ceremonies, Bill Malone!
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. How are you? Always nice to have you with us.
You're good.
I try. It's all those years of watching. So I've always been curious as to how hosts of successful game shows first got the job. So David, how did you land the job as host of Supermarket Sweep?
Well, because I had done Real People kind of early on in my career, early 80s, I was getting a lot of interest for hosting game shows and stuff like that, but I was patently stupid. I said, well, no, I'm an actor, and it'll ruin my acting career, which it does. And I kept away from it, but then I was engaged to be married, and my wife said, if we're going to have a baby, one of us should have a steady gig. So I took it, and 29 years later, I'm so glad I did.
So the pilot of Supermarket Sweep was filmed in 1989, and thanks to Wink Martindale's YouTube channel, the Supermarket Sweep pilot is available for viewing, and it was a real treat watching you do the intro for it. And what was fascinating about the pilot is, just like the original version of the show, it was filmed in an actual supermarket.
That was out in the valley in the L.A. area. It was a small market, and they happened to be closed in the evenings, I guess. And so we shot one night in a market.
Do you remember this television show? People were running wild through the aisles of the supermarket, grabbing everything they could get their hands on. And what's more, everything they could carry out was theirs to keep. Well, it's that. The television show that says, go ahead, do what you've always wanted to do. Get it all. Everything in this supermarket is yours, and it's all free. So, let's give a big welcome to the return of the all-new Supermarket Sweep. And now, let's meet the host of our show, David Ruprecht.
Is there anyone in our studio audience who would like to win $5,000?
It was funny because it was a real supermarket, so when people were checking out, they had condoms and vodka and stuff that they wouldn't want to have on television today.
They didn't bother grabbing the traditional Tide or anything in the meat department.
The briskets of beef and the turkeys. No, they went for the high-priced stuff, condoms and vodka.
Hey, you did say everything in the market was up for grabs. Now, was it known that if Supermarket Sweep were to go into production that a mock market would be built?
Don't know. It makes so much more sense logistically, economically, because they just rented what they call gondolas, which is when you're walking up and down a supermarket aisle. The things that all the merchandise is on are called gondolas. And they rent those, and they rent the refrigerated cases and the freezer cases for 4 or 5 months, and we shoot a whole year. And like I said, also, since so many markets are 24/7 now, it's just kind of impossible to get anybody to sign off. I remember the producer telling me, he said their margin of profit is so slim in a supermarket, they can't afford to shut down.
Every time I watch the show, I'm always in amazement of how the set looks like a genuine supermarket. When you saw the set for the first time, were you amazed at how accurate the mock supermarket looked?
I don't remember being awed by that. I know it looked smaller in person than it does on TV. They shot it great so that it looked like a huge supermarket, and it never was that big. But the way they shot it, it looked 25% bigger than it really was. I was more worried about doing my job correctly.
Most half-hour game shows shoot 5 episodes in a day. Was that the same for Supermarket Sweep?
No. Again, economically, the producer realized the only people he was paying by the show were the director and me. Everybody else was paid by the day, so he squeezed 6 shows into a day. And because our show is different than most shows, we had basically 2 sets, even though it was all in the same area. We had the first half of the show where they're answering questions behind the podiums. We do all 6 first halves, and then we take a lunch break, and they would take out the podiums, rearrange the cameras, and then we do the second half, which was the sweep. So it was a longer day than most game shows. I mean, if you're Wheel or Jeopardy or Price, it's all on the same thing. You just shoot in real time, actually. I remember I saw Price once or twice live, and Bob Barker would just schmooze out in the audience. He said, okay, this is our 3-minute commercial break. Any questions? He was great.
That's a lot of sweater switching for one taping day.
Right. That was the wardrobe guy's biggest challenge. And you probably know this, Bradley. How many shows did I do? I know it was over 1,000.
As a matter of fact, I do know the number. It's 1,111 episodes. Brad fact.
Well, in 1,111 shows, there was only one time even changing the way we shot it. So we do episode 1 through 6 first half, take a break, then do episode 1 through 6 second half. In all those shows, there was only one time when a contestant looked at me and she said, were you wearing that tie and shirt? And the poor wardrobe guy scrambled. But that's pretty amazing. Only once in over 1,000 shows that he got me in the wrong costume.
One of the biggest supermarket sweep questions that I've always had is, during the big sweep, where did the audience go?
Well, we tried having an audience in the beginning, and it never really worked out very well. We would get extras, but they wanted to take potty breaks and got fidgety because shooting television and movies, it's not anywhere near as exciting as it appears on TV. It's a lot of downtime, repositioning cameras, mopping down my sweat, whatever. What they would do is for the opening shot, because we did 6 shows, so that's 18 contestants plus some backup, so we'd have maybe 25 people sit out in the audience and cheer as people came running down the aisle, and they'd kind of shoot over their shoulder and make it look like we had a full audience, but we never really had an audience after the first season.
At the beginning of each episode, many audience members would be holding various supermarket products in hopes that Johnny Gilbert would announce it. Did those products actually determine who the contestants for each episode were going to be?
No. You know what an end cap is in a market?
I'm afraid I don't.
End cap, well, I told you about the gondolas that form the shopping aisles. At the end of it, both front and back, there are things called end caps. Now I know more about the grocery store than I should. And those were usually populated by the big advertisers. If Crest bought a lot of time on the show for advertising, the Crest products would show up in the games and they'd show up on the end caps. And I'm sure that was the same case with Who Has the Tide, Come On, You're On, or whatever it was.
Now, are you ready to go shopping? Who's got the Aquabresh toothpaste? Okay, you're on. Who's got the Tiny Toon Dixie cups? Okay, you're on. Who's got the Fiddle Faddle? Okay, and you're on. We're ready to play Supermarket Sweep.
I think it was more of a financial decision as to who was buying the most advertising time.
But they already knew that they were going to be contestants no matter what product they were handed.
Right.
Were there any specific products or brands that the show couldn't put in the market because they didn't have the rights to show it on TV?
Not that I know. Like I said, there was no alcohol, there were no condoms, but I think there were quote-unquote feminine products that we used. But no, I don't think anything was verboten, not allowed, that I know of.
During the main portion of the show, there were various different games the contestants played to earn sweep time, from pricing games to product trivia games to word games. What was your favorite of the different types of supermarket sweep games?
I like the trivia games because, believe it or not, I still do the majority of the grocery shopping for our family. I always have, and I see something I want, and I just pull it off the shelf and buy it. So I would not have been very good at the pricing games. But the trivia games I enjoy. I still love trivia games.
Do people ever come up to you at the supermarket and ask if you're the guy who hosts Supermarket Sweep?
It's hilarious, especially when the show was on. Now, not so much anymore. But when the show was on, people would see me shopping in the supermarket, and they would do a double or a triple take because they're used to seeing me the size of their TV, and then here I am in real life. And I'm not a huge guy, but I'm life-size. They get pretty shocked, and especially the workers, which I was always surprised that if you work in a supermarket, you would watch Supermarket Sweep. But the workers, even in my local store, I live up in Northern California now in a relatively small town, and the lady who checks me out was a big fan, and she still gushes when I check out my groceries.
That must be a real throwback for her.
And me.
That's true. Now, of course, there are so many products on the shelves of the Supermarket Sweep set, but were all of the products real and not just empty boxes and containers?
No. Things like diapers and rice-a-roni, most of the stuff in the shelves was real, but the stuff in the meat section, the first season they tried using real turkeys and hams and briskets, and then every night when the show was over, 2 or 4 poor assistants would load up carts and take them back to the freezer, and then they'd have another one behind them mopping up the dripping blood and stuff off the hams and turkeys and briskets. And they did that for the first season, then they just said, no, this isn't worth it. So they got, like if you go to an Asian restaurant, often in the window they'll have plastic replicas of what's to be served inside, and that's what they had made out. And then they made sure it weighed the proper amount that's shown on the package label. So if you had a 12-pound turkey, it weighed 12 pounds, but it was plastic.
And were the prices determined by local supermarket prices? How did that work?
Yeah, there's a book, believe it or not, a huge book that comes out, I think, every month or every week for each region, the western region, northeast, southeast, that has the products and what they're going for in that region. That's the most I ever knew about that.
So after the bell rang and the big sweep was over, how long did it take to calculate the totals for all 3 teams?
Not really that long, maybe 10, 15 minutes. We had real checkers who would come in and scan everything, and they'd come up with a total.
Did the official checkers double-check the totals just in case they missed a can of soup?
Yeah, they did double-check them to make sure it was right.
As you mentioned, 6 sweeps were filmed in a row, so I'm guessing the shelves were restocked while you were changing for the next sweep?
Yeah, after each sweep, I'd go back and change clothes and do a makeup touch-up, and that would take maybe 20 minutes. And in that time, they would have production assistants loading up the shopping carts, taking them and putting them back on the shelf. I never got to see it unless I changed real quickly. But yes, that was their whole job. And then, of course, after the tallies were done, then they'd bring everybody out and they would make the contestants turn their backs on the market while somebody went out and hid the $5,000 and the 3 clues and the scavenger hunt thing.
And over the years, different bonuses were added to the big sweep, from the candy to the coffee to the frozen yogurt and the International Bread Station, as well as magazines and the $300 movie.
Okay, take a look. Everything you see out there in our supermarket aisles is up for grabs. I want you to fill as many of these carts as you can. Now, listen carefully, because these are the big money makers we have in the market for you in today's big sweep. We have those 3 television monitors out there, and during the big sweep, all you have to do is hit the button below any monitor. You'll instantly see a 1-word clue to a specific product. Each TV set has a different clue. This is going to help you identify our mystery product. Now, if you can get that mystery product in your cart or across the line before the sweep is over, I will give you an extra $250. And today we have a chance for each team to win an extra $100 because spread throughout our market are 3 bags filled with empty cans. Each runner may retrieve 1 bag, race it back to their partner, and then the partner must stack all 21 cans in the shape of a pyramid before the sweep is over, just like that. Now, you have to use every can, and if your partner gets the stack job done, you'll receive a marker just like this one for $100. Remember, we also have coffee and candy for $100, and don't forget our bonus specials. They could be worth up to $250. Oh, this is going to be a great sweep. Now, I want you to look out there. Everything up and down those supermarket aisles is up for grabs. You can fill as many of these carts as you want. Now, listen carefully. These are the special big money makers we have for you in the market for today's big sweep. We have, of course, our International Bread Center, and it is filled with all different kinds of breads and bagels and rolls. But what I need you to bring me back are 2 Kaiser rolls, 1 poppy seed bagel, and 1 Bialy. Now, you put them in a bag, you seal them with a twist tie, then put it in your cart. Before the sweep is over, you will earn an extra $250. Also, during the big sweep, you're going to hear my voice coming over the loudspeaker announcing the manager's special. In the market, you'll see a display of all kinds of products. Now, we have marked 3 of them with a red X on the bottom. Now, if you can bring back one of the specially marked cans by the end of the sweep, we'll add an extra $200 to your sweep total. I do want to remind you, though, only one of those to a customer. Also in our market is what has to be the world's largest box of cheer. Now, attached to it are 4 envelopes worth anywhere from $25 to $100. Grab an envelope, whatever amount you get, we'll add that to your sweep total. Also, we have the coffee and the candy for $100. And please, don't forget those bonus specials. They are worth up to $250.
Were you a fan of these bonuses, or was it more fun for you to watch a team win just by groceries alone?
Seems so funny talking about minutiae about supermarket sweep, but it's fun. It's a strategic thing, so you have to decide, are you going to spend 30 seconds dishing up some frozen yogurt or finding that movie or whatever the bonuses was? So it's a strategic thing, and people really got into the strategy. We had several people who would literally go in their local supermarket when it was closed and practice running around and what to get and what the prices were. People took it very seriously.
Hey, $5,000 is up for grabs. I'd be doing the same thing, practicing in my local supermarkets. Now, David, if you were running the big sweep, would you spend the time getting the bonuses or focus on picking up turkeys and laundry detergent?
No, if I were out there, I'd do the health and beauty. I'd stay in the health and beauty aisle. In all those shows, I think we had one woman who did that. Because you throw, a 12-pound turkey and a 10-pound ham and a brisket, you got a heavy cart, you got to lug it back to the checkout stand and get a fresh cart, and that all takes time. Whereas if you're in the health and beauty, you get 5 hair colorings, 5 cough formulas, 5 contact lens cleaners, because you'd only get 5 of each thing. And one woman did it that I remember in all those shows, and she just skunked everybody. She just stayed in the health and beauty aisle. It's expensive stuff. A thing of contact lens cleaner can cost as much as a turkey.
Right, and over the years, I've shouted out at the TV screen plenty of times saying, stay in one aisle, especially, like you said, the health and beauty aisle, because it has many expensive products. I find that many contestants lose the most time just running around and not grabbing anything.
But you have to understand, they get hyped, they get excited, and you're not always thinking as clearly as you would like. So I'm sure there were a lot of people sitting at home, oh, good Lord, why did I do that? Why did I run around like an idiot?
That's true, because I'm sure once you say go, any strategy the team may had going into the big sweep is probably wiped right out of their brain. So one of my favorite moments is when a contestant is running back with a giant inflatable bonus, whether it be a can of 7-Up or an Oscar Mayer wiener or a Tootsie Roll. I'm sure it must have been fun watching those moments happen real time during the big sweep.
Oh, I always liked those. Because, see, I spent the whole sweep at the checkout stand, so I couldn't even see what they were doing for the most part. When I watched the show, I'd see what they were doing, but I loved it when they'd come running back with that huge Tootsie Roll or whatever the other special prizes were. That was always fun.
I've always wondered, did the contestants ever get a chance before the show to scope out the market to see where everything is?
Yeah, what they would do is they'd take all 3 teams and give them 15 minutes in the market, or 10 minutes. I don't know the exact amount of time. This is before they'd play. And they'd have to go around and, if they wanted, make notes as to where this was and where that was and strategize. And then pretty soon, they couldn't do too much strategy because pretty soon they'd have to be out there doing it. But they would give them X number of minutes to roam around the market and see where everything was.
A famous element of the big sweep was the voiceover by announcers Johnny Gilbert and then Randy West, giving the audience a play-by-play of what the contestants were grabbing in the market. I'm presuming that the episodes were edited together and then either Johnny or Randy would record their voiceovers?
Yeah, Randy occasionally would show up during the tapings, but just as a friend thing, to come and have lunch and yada, yada, yada. And Randy and I are still friends today. The first season, I think Johnny was on the set announcing so-and-so, you're on the show, and he was on the set on a podium with a microphone. It was really exciting.
Are you ready to go shopping? Who's got the Folgers coffee? Okay, you're on. Who's got the Northern bath tissue? Okay, you're on. Who's got the Dixie cups? Okay, and you're on. We're ready to play Supermarket Sweep. And here is our host, David Ruprecht.
But after that, Randy would just go in with the producer, and they had already written his copy, the words he was going to say, because they had cut it together, trying to make it as exciting and fun as possible. And so it was all written, and I was never there, so I don't know whether Randy changed it. You know, he might have said, this is hard to say here. Can we minimize some of the words here? And I'm sure, knowing Randy, because he's such a ultimate pro, he would have thrown that out. But he and the producers just sat in the studio looking at the cut-together sweep with the script, and that's part of his magic. I could make it like he's just watching it happen now, doing a play-by-play.
How well do you think you would have done running the bonus sweep?
Don't know, because I never did it. I'm pretty good at games, so I would have been good, and I'm pretty familiar with supermarkets and products and that kind of thing. I would have done well, I think, but I'm not exemplary.
Well, you'll be putting your game skills to the test in a little while. However, before we get to that, my next question is, were you surprised when the original supermarket sweep run ended on June 16th, 1995, after being on the air for only 5 years?
I was surprised. It's still so popular. That's why there's talk of bringing it back. Now with both parents working, kids, male, female, everybody does the grocery shopping. So it's of interest, and what a fantasy to be able to grab whatever you want and not have to pay for it. When I do get recognized, or if I do an event or something, people are just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know, they would love to see the show back on. Mostly they want to be on it, which is the best thing you can say about a game show. I honestly don't know why it wasn't picked up, but it was very popular for all those years. Who knows what was going on with the negotiations between the network and my producer? I have no idea. But I'm sure it certainly was not the popularity.
Well, as a viewer myself, I think one of the reasons why Supermarket Sweep was a success is because it's a fantasy-driven game show. Millions of people dream about running loose down supermarket aisles and grabbing as many free grocery items as they can and tossing them into their shopping cart in a certain amount of time. I know I certainly have. So although the Big Sweep wasn't a traditional audience participation game, there was still enough of a participation element to make people interested.
Yes. In fact, that was a criticism somebody had before the show started. They said, well, it's not going to work because the audience can't participate in what they call the end game. You want the audience to be able to participate, and they can't. But apparently, people felt like they were participating just watching the end game, going for the $5,000. Because it was, you know, it would ask a question, that would lead them to a product, which would have another question, which would lead them to the product, which would ask another question, which would lead them to the $5,000. So I guess they can kind of play along with that. You know, it's tied. So they can play along in that way.
You did it. You did it. You got that TV mystery product. Are we excited? Yes? Are we excited? Okay. Well, you're going to get even more excited if you can find the $5,000. Now, it's out there. We want you to find it. You've got a whole minute to find it and 3 clues to help you out. As soon as I read this first clue, the 1-minute countdown starts. And before we begin, you chose the bonus envelope number 1. Here we go. Sauce on your shirt, no reason to pout. Pre-wash the stain, zap it with...
Shout! Laundry soap! Going right. Laundry soap. I got it right here. Shout it out. The other side. Shout! Give me a carrot. Okay, this piping hot bowlful seems like you can eat it with a fork. Okay, this piping hot bowlful seems like you can eat it with a fork. No, like
that soup that you can eat.
Yeah,
the soup you can eat.
Good enough to eat with a spoon, but eat with a fork. Okay, Carol. Okay, go. These cheesy Windy City siblings start out pretty cold, but they sure get hot. Cheesy Windy City. Chicago is the Windy City. Cheesy
brothers, Chicago brothers.
I got the outside. You got down there? Chicago Brothers Pizza. Carol.
But even with the Big Sweep, I felt like I was participating because if a contestant ran past $20 cans of coffee or a bonus that was right in front of their face, I would be screaming at the TV set.
Right, and plus the way they cut it and edited and voiced over with Randy and Johnny, they would point that out. They say, oh, he ran right past this bonus item. And, yeah, that was part of the plan.
So in the year 2000, new episodes of Supermarket Sweep began to air. But despite the $1 million quiz show boom hitting America the year before with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and other game shows that followed, Supermarket Sweep kept the top prize at $5,000. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, the only thing that would surprise me is that it was still very exciting for people. But you get an average Joe and Jane, and just the fact that they're going to be on TV and their family's going to be sitting around the living room watching them is exciting. And we had the best contestant coordinators because it was a long day, and their job to keep them excited and happy and pepped up for the whole day, and they did a great job at it. Half their job was picking good contestants, and the other part of it was pepping them up and cheerleading and yada, yada. So the contestants stayed excited, even though it was $5,000, and by 2003, that wasn't that much.
Now, David, if you had to pick one moment or a couple of moments that defined your time hosting Supermarket Sweep, what would it be?
Very good question, Bradley. Honestly, Bradley, I loved almost every minute of those 1,111 shows. The crew on the set were great. Contestant coordinators were great. There were difficulties. I didn't know about it. So there was at least two producers, maybe three, one staying up in the booth and then one or two down on the set, making sure everything went smoothly. And every minute was a joy to me. It was a great set.
As a fan of the show, I'm so happy to hear that you enjoyed every single moment of hosting Supermarket Sweep. Now, you mentioned a little earlier about the sweaters that you used to wear for show tapings, but I've got to ask, were any of those sweaters from your own closet?
No. And again, I think the sweaters were only the first 2, maybe 3 seasons. And then Lifetime decided to kind of modernize the show, hip it up a bit. And that's when we went to the shirt and ties. But no, none of that was mine. I think at the end of the season, I maybe got to bring a couple of ties and shirts or sweaters home, just as a thank you type thing. But no, the wardrobe person, that was their job. They'd go out and shop for them. Now, whether they returned them afterwards, I think once they'd been washed, they couldn't be returned.
I don't know if you've seen this or not, but in 2016, Saturday Night Live did a Supermarket Sweep parody skit called Supermarket Spree.
Yes, I've seen bits and pieces of it.
David, you must watch the whole thing. It is hilarious. Taron Killam played the host, although he used the fake name Rob Dooley and not David Ruprecht. And the sweepers were Vanessa Bayer and Melissa McCarthy.
You're watching the Game Show Network.
There they are, my super shoppers! And we're back with Supermarket Spree, and we're finally ready to get shopping. Melanie, you did well that round, but not nearly as well as Paget.
I watched every show, every single Supermarket Spree. So I studied it. I'm ready, and I have a plan.
Well, it all comes down to the final round. So I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. And remember, the goal here is to grab as many items as you can before time expires.
Got it, I know that.
But choose wisely, because some items have more value than others.
I know, I have a plan.
Now get ready to shop in 3, 2, 1, go!
I have a plan! I have a plan!
And they're off. Melanie is heading down the candy aisle looking for that bonus. And there goes Paget. She's skipping over the instant soups, ignoring the dairy, and she's heading to the employees only section in the back.
But I like her chutzpah.
She's got a side of beef. Wow, that must weigh at least 200 pounds. I bet she found that back in the butcher's area. Got a little messy there. Meanwhile, it looks like Melanie found the canned yams, each worth $1.89, and she'll take 2 of them. Looks like Paget's got a whole bluefin tuna. That's sushi grade, $40 a pound. And Melanie is slowly choosing macaroni. And it looks like Paget has gone behind the deli case to find huge wheels of rare imported Parmesan Reggiano cheese. Remember, each of these is about $2,500 a pop. Melanie is grabbing some pasta. She'll have to do a little bit better than that. Now what's Paget got? Looks like an industrial deli slicer. Those things go for about $4,000. And looks like she's stopping to grab a family-sized jar of mayonnaise. That's $8. Oh, she opened it. She's eating it. Guess she just needed to keep her energy up. Melanie is scouring the snack aisle looking for that Tootsie Roll bonus. And it looks like she found it. That could be worth up to $50. And Paget somehow got a hold of a full cash register.
And that thing was bolted in, folks.
There's at least $600 in there. Not sure how she got her hands on that. And now Melanie is loading up on dried beans. Oh no, Paget is now giving Melanie a hard time as she passes by. Very unsportsmanlike. Oh boy, Paget now taking Melanie's personal items for herself.
What are you doing?
Paget showing no mercy. And wait. Whoa, what's she doing? Paget is trying to take one of our $50,000 high-definition cameras. Meanwhile, Melanie looks like she's trying to salvage what's left of her dignity. Luckily, time is almost expired. And oh no, what's this? Paget has ripped the game clock off the wall. Who knows how long this is going to take, folks? Let's take a commercial break, and we'll be back with more Supermarket Spree.
SNL is known for game show parody skits such as Celebrity Jeopardy, but for SNL to do a skit on Supermarket Sweep over 10 years after the last episode aired, it really shows you how much Supermarket Sweep is loved and remembered.
Yeah, because a lot of people like you grew up on it, so they remember it. Here I am X number of years, and I still remember Queen for a Day. People remember fun, and it's different.
That definitely rings true for me because I can tell you specific game show moments and wins from episodes of game shows that aired 40 years ago, but I probably couldn't tell you what I had for dinner this week.
Yeah, right.
Now, David, I'm curious if you've ever seen Food Network's Guy's Grocery Games, and if yes, despite it being a cooking show, do you think they took the concept of running around a supermarket from Supermarket Sweep?
Interesting, because I live in Northern California now, and Guy lives in the town right next to mine. In fact, he's moving into my little town, I just found out. So somebody did a fundraiser for our local middle school and high school, and Guy's son goes to the middle school. So Guy was there kind of emceeing the whole thing. He was there with his chef's knife on his waist and apron on. He had a camouflage apron. So I did get to meet him. In fact, I met his mom and dad first, and I said, did Guy have to pay a royalty? And his mother said, I really don't know. You'd have to ask his dad. And then I asked his dad, and his dad said, no, they had approached Guy about doing a show. Somebody, I think, with Supermarket Sweep approached Guy about doing a show like that. But at that time, he was so busy with his restaurants and his Food Network shows, he chose not to. And then he apparently just decided on grocery games on his own. Rumor had it for me that he was paying a royalty to Supermarket Sweep people. Certainly not me, but the producers. But I asked, and apparently, so far, I haven't gotten a yes on that. Just that it is similar. And Guy certainly recognized me, but they didn't model it exactly. Because on that show, they have to cook with what they go out and get.
Right, and the closest similarity I found between Supermarket Sweep and Guy's Grocery Games was the original Triple G bonus game. They changed the bonus game a few years ago, but the original version was that the contestants had to run around the market and find 10 specific items on a shopping list, one item in each aisle. It's not exactly the same, but it incorporates the running down the aisles concept from Supermarket Sweep.
Correct.
Back in 2017, Henry Howard, the son of Supermarket Sweep creator and producer Al Howard, said that a Supermarket Sweep revival was in the works, and in August of 2019, it was announced that Saturday Night Live alum Leslie Jones is going to be producing and hosting a revival of Supermarket Sweep. I'm presuming, sadly, in both cases, you weren't asked to be involved with the revival?
Correct.
If given the opportunity, would you like to either host or have some sort of involvement with an upcoming Supermarket Sweep revival?
I would do it in a heartbeat. Like I said, I loved every minute of it. I would love to get back on a game show. I love it. But, there's the age thing. I got white hair now, but I still have the same energy. But you tell that to somebody who's 26 years old and producing the game show.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to at least host a game show since Supermarket Sweep ended in the form of The Price is Right Live. I'm sure that was so much fun to do.
And here is the star of The Price is Right Live, David Ruprecht!
Oh, hello, Tunica. God love you.
It was. And I got to do it with Randy a lot. That's where we really cemented our friendship, because we'd be in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, Tunica, Mississippi, someplace in Florida. And that was done live, so that was a lot of fun. They taped it and they showed it on big screens as it was happening to make it feel as much like a TV show as they could. But it was a live Price is Right. It was a lot of fun.
If you could host one game show, past or present, which one would it be?
Supermarket Sweep.
Good answer.
Thank you.
And since you mentioned it, I think that remark is a great segue into my favorite portion of the game show. David, it's time for the game of the day.
Game of the day.
and it's only fitting that I would create a supermarket sweep theme game for you to play. Now, for over 1,000 episodes, you gave out many facts and clues to help the contestants guess a countless number of grocery store products. Well, today, we're going to see how well you do when the checkout counters are turned, because I'll be giving out the facts and clues to help you guess the grocery store products. It's time to play the Bradley Clarke radio version of the bonus sweep. The bonus sweep.
Oh, goody.
And here's how the game works. Before you actually get to the bonus sweep, we have to know how much time will be on the clock. You'll have a base time of 45 seconds, but you can earn up to 45 seconds more by first playing the question round. I'm going to name 2 products you'll find in a supermarket. Then I'll ask you 3 questions, with the answer to each being one of those 2 products. For every correct answer, I'll add 5 seconds to your bonus sweep time. You'll play 3 sets of products for a total of 9 questions. Now, once the question round is over, I'll add the extra seconds you earn to the clock, and that is the amount of time you'll have during the bonus sweep. But I'll tell you more about the bonus sweep when we get to it. So, David, are you ready to play?
Yes, sir.
Then let's play the bonus sweep. And to earn up to 15 additional seconds, here are the first 2 products you'll be dealing with. Oreo cookies or Barnum's Animal Crackers. Those are the 2 items, and here's your first question. This product was first sold the same year that the Titanic sank.
Animal crackers.
It was actually Oreos, 1912.
Wow.
No need to worry, though. There are still plenty more questions and plenty more seconds to earn. David, here comes your next question. The packaging of this product was originally intended to be a Christmas ornament.
Ooh. I'm going to go animal crackers again.
And you would be right. That is correct.
Yeah, I remember seeing those packages. Good. I got 5 seconds.
You did indeed get 5 seconds. And by the way, the animal crackers boxes, how they turned into a Christmas ornament, they would have the ribbon on the top. Brad fact.
Yeah.
All right, here comes your last question for these 2 items. The fudge-covered version of this product was first introduced in 1987.
It's got to be Oreos.
It's got to be Oreos, correct.
Yeah, all right.
So for those 2 items, you earned 10 seconds.
Yay.
Here comes your second duo of products. Hershey's Kisses or Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And David, here comes your first question. This candy was wrapped individually by hand for its first 14 years.
Kisses.
Hershey's Kisses is correct.
Yay.
Your second question. The original version of this candy was called the Wilbur Bud.
I'm guessing Hershey Kisses again.
Will you be guessing correct?
Yay!
And the Wilbur Bud was invented in 1894 by Henry Oscar Wilbur. Brad fact.
Wow.
And here comes your final question. There is a kind of cereal based off of this candy.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
That is correct. Reese's Puffs is the cereal. You earned all 15 seconds you could possibly earn that round, meaning you're up to 25 additional seconds total. And here are your last 2 products to earn 15 more seconds. Hostess Twinkies and Rice Krispies Treats. And here is your first question, David. This product was included in the Millennium Time Capsule.
Twinkies.
That's correct.
Yay! It's an icon.
Second question. A Campfire Girls troop leader is credited for bringing this product to life.
I think that's got to be the Rice Krispies Treats.
And I think you got to be right. That's right.
Whoa!
Mildred Day was the name of the inventor of the Rice Krispies treat, and she was a Campfire Troop Girls leader. Brad fact. And your final question. This product was first made by the same company who originally made Wonder Bread.
Twinkie.
Twinkie is correct.
Hey, I only missed 1 out of all those?
You only missed 1 out of 9.
Wow.
And by the way, the company who originally made Wonder Bread was called the Continental Baking Company, and that later merged with Hostess Brands. Brad fact.
Wow.
You earned 15 seconds for that duo of products, which means you have a total of 40 additional seconds. Now put that together with your base of 45 seconds, And David, you have a total of 1 minute and 25 seconds for the bonus sweep. All right, David, it's time for the bonus sweep. Now, during the question round, you earned an additional 40 seconds of time, so you'll have a total of 1 minute and 25 seconds to complete the bonus sweep. For the bonus sweep, just like on The Real Show, I'm going to give you a rhyming clue to a supermarket product. Now, the last word of the clue's first part will always rhyme with the product name. But of course, the end of the clue will have a blank. For example, you might be hippin' and hollerin' if your bathroom's toilet paper holder has no more, and the answer is Charmin. After I read each clue, if you know what the product is, go ahead and say it. But if you don't, feel free to say pass. Now, David, if you can correctly name 5 products in 1 minute and 25 seconds or less, you'll be deemed a bonus sweep winner. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, 1:25 is on the clock. Keep in mind there are only 16 total clues, so use your passes wisely. And once again, you need 5 correct answers to win. Time will not start until I finish reading the first clue. Good luck. For the hungry kids at the breakfast table, this should be the trick. Make a stack of pancakes using...
Bisquick.
Correct. If you want your cuts and scrapes to fade, make sure to cover them up with a...
Band-Aid.
Correct. Your teeth will certainly look their best if you brush them using...
Crest.
Correct. To make an edible ring for your pinky toe, just open up a box of Honey Nut...
Cheerios.
Correct. Playing soccer got me grass stains on my socks, so to get them out I used...
Clorox.
Clorox is correct. David, you have just won the bonus sweep.
Yay! Oh, that was 5?
That was 5. You got it.
Oh, I've got an extra 25 seconds. Start me on state capitals.
You actually have another 50 seconds or so. Do you want to keep going?
Oh, sure.
All right, here we go. While they're in the toaster, time goes by slow because you're craving a waffle made by...
Lego.
Correct. The smell of my hair you'll really love, especially since I washed it with...
Dove.
Correct. After hurting yourself during a fall, to relieve the pain you might take...
Pass.
Underwear isn't flying into the hampers, but instead you're throwing out all of your babies...
Pampers.
Correct. On a cold day when the ground is full of snow, have a hearty bowl of soup that's labeled...
Pass.
I quit drinking Pepsi, but with all of my might, I just can't stop drinking...
Pepsi Light?
Incorrect. A salad spinner is probably what you own if you keep buying dressing with the label...
Wishbone.
Wishbone is correct, and time is up. Very good. You got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 9. Very good.
Wow. How much money do I win?
Well, I wish I could say $5,000.
At least I didn't embarrass myself in the final round.
That's true. Let me go back to the ones that you missed. After hurting yourself during a fall, to relieve the pain, you might take Tylenol.
Oh, Tylenol. Yeah, okay.
On a cold day when the ground is full of snow, have a hearty bowl of soup that's labeled Progresso. And the final one, I quit drinking Pepsi, but with all of my might, I just can't stop drinking Sprite was the answer to that one.
Oh, Sprite. Oh, okay.
But congratulations, David. You have proved that you're not only a great supermarket sweep host, but you can battle with the best supermarket sweep contestants as well and win a supermarket sweep themed game.
Thank you, Bradley. And just as a side note, the gal who used to do cue cards on our show for a number of seasons was Alex Trebek's daughter. And one day at a break, we were just, talking. And she said that for fun, her dad, Alex Trebek, would play the qualifying round because you have to play the game before you get on the show so they know you're not going to be a doofus when the show actually films. And Alex, occasionally for fun, would take the qualifying rounds with potential contestants, and he would always skunk them. He's that good at trivia. I just always found that fascinating because I enjoy Jeopardy, and he would be really good at it.
Well, I certainly believe it, especially since Alex says he knows a lot of the material used on Jeopardy! Well, David, congratulations on winning the game, and thanks for playing the bonus sweep. The bonus sweep. Well, David, as a longtime Supermarket Sweep fan, it has been such a pleasure having you on the game show today, so thank you so much for being my special guest.
Thank you, Bradley. It's been nice spending an hour with you.
It has been such an honor spending the hour with you as well, especially after watching Supermarket Sweep and being a David Ruprecht fan for many years.
Oh, you sugar-talking man. Thank you.
You are most certainly welcome, and you always have an open invitation to join me again on the game show if you want to chat some more about Supermarket Sweep, or if you just want to play another game.
Thanks, Bradley, and good luck with your podcast.
Thank you so much, David. I really appreciate it, and I truly hope that one day, real soon, new episodes of Supermarket Sweep will be back on television, and I see you telling contestants to bring back the Raisin Bran or the hefty trash bags or the Flintstones vitamins.
Your lips to the producer's ears. Thanks, Bradley.
Alrighty, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, unfortunately, that beat means the checkout line, and this episode of the game show has come to a close. However, you can listen to another episode of the game show by redeeming your coupons at www.soundcloud.com/Bradley_Clarke. That's BRADLEY_CLARKE/sets/the game show. That's www.soundcloud.com/Bradley_Clarke. That's BRADLEY_CLARKE/sets/the game show. Plus, don't forget to like The Game Show Starring Bradley Clarke on Facebook and follow The Game Show Starring Bradley Clarke on Twitter using the handle @TheGameShowBC and hashtag #TheGameShow. And of course, be sure to tune in next time for another exciting episode of The Talk Show, all about the world of television, game, and competition shows, The Game Show. I'm Bradley Clarke, the Bradster, and I just heard about a cleanup on aisle 8 that I need to attend to. Bye for now. The Supermarket Spree Saturday Night Live cut is courtesy of Saturday Night Live, and the Supermarket Sweep pilot cut is courtesy of Wink Martindale's YouTube channel.
This edition of The Game Show was created and produced by Bradley Clarke and was recorded at the WRHU studios. This is Austin Angelo speaking.
The Game Show is a Bradley Clarke production. Get your game on.